What's up, guys? Kevin Cage back with another XRP update. Appreciate all that hit the like button. You are not going to want to miss this one. So we have Ashish Birla of Ripple on this podcast, the Lend Academy podcast, essentially discussing Ripple and how the money should move today, the ins and outs of RippleNet, their clientele, why they are providing lines of credit, this LOC, which is specific and additional demand for XRP, the digital asset. We have talks on DeFi, decentralized finance, digital currencies, and much more. Now, I'm only going to show you maybe 1 or 2 minutes of this podcast at most, but the big points I want to make in this is essentially this. There are 3 mega banks in the world today that control 80% of all cross-border payment flows. This is HSBC, which is already a RippleNet partner, longtime standing, Citi, and JP Morgan. Now, I understand if I sound like a lunatic to somebody that's never researched this stuff, but I'm telling you, 5 to 10 years from now, we're going to look back and say, how did we not see this sooner? You mean today, where, commerce should have mutual trust, we have mutual mistrust, so we have to trust 80% of payment flows to these 3 mega banks. Makes no sense. In the future, we'd look back and go, oh wow, now there's a central point of failure, systemic risk, it's not distributed, there's no redundancy, there's absolutely no trust. We don't even really have immutability today. It's just absolutely chaotic, guys, and I highly recommend just sharing this video and encourage doing your own research on this journey. Anyways, before I keep ranting, I want to show you a quick clip of Brian Brooks, and this is the acting comptroller of the currency, formerly at Coinbase, pro-crypto, and he oversees the entire banking system. Since he took office in April, remember, banks now have clarity to hold cryptocurrency. If you are not bullish long-term in this ecosystem for the assets that actually serve a purpose, I don't know what to tell you. Listen up.
Level set for people who are not deeply educated in this. There's no such thing as blockchain without crypto. Crypto is the native asset that induces people to solve the puzzles that result in validating transactions. It's the only reason people plug their computer into the network in order to do the transaction validation that occurs. So don't be fooled by people who say I'm pro-blockchain and anti-crypto. You wouldn't have stablecoin networks without the Ethereum token. That's what led to the development of the Ethereum network, on which all of these stablecoins are built. And so we do really need the clarity Hester's talking about, because without it, there won't be blockchain. And so we can't think of the blockchain as the infrastructure. It's the ecosystem of tokens and networks that is the national infrastructure on this.
So interesting commentary, again, saying that there would be no stablecoin networks really, like Tether or even USDC, without the Ethereum network first. So again, these decentralized platforms build further innovation. And also, with XRP, specifically the Mexican peso and the US dollar, that is the largest remittance corridor in the world, and currently, and sometimes it's way more than that, but give or take, we are doing 10% of those payment flows. This is just, we are so early, I do not understand. Yes, if you see pullbacks, big deal, but if you do not believe in this asset class long term, I don't know what to tell you. They are solving real problems for real customers at scale in a big way. Next, shared by Panos, guys, so the XRP Ledger is the most advanced and efficient blockchain technology. We can see decentralized, cost-efficient, correct, and immutable. Low latency, high throughput, near zero fees, instant settlement with finality being a keyword. Of course, no waste of energy, physical resources like proof of work, like Bitcoin. And one of the big points I want to put is here, no rollbacks. We know that Stephen Thomas, the former CTO at Ripple, remember the founder of Ethereum, was sleeping on his couch. He went through the code base of Bitcoin. He's very familiar with it, as he said many times, and he knows that there is no ability to roll back transactions on the XRP Ledger. XRP is trying to literally be the digital asset for liquidity throughout the globe, and it cannot have that in its code base whatsoever. This has to be trusted completely, and it is a top-down approach because it starts off centralized, just like the internet, starting with a few universities, and then starts going down and becoming more decentralized and distributed over time. All right? Already showed you that. We know Ashish Birla, GM of a RippleNet. We can see board observer at MoneyGram as well. We know Ripple sold a bunch of shares recently, and a board member at Bitso, the biggest exchange in Latin America. Also, as we'll go on to talk about, the largest corridor for the Mexican peso and dollar where XRP is flowing through. All right, and he also went to University of Michigan, if you guys were curious. So let me show you a few short clips of this podcast, and we'll keep going.
There's the way we've moved money around has as you say, hasn't changed much, but ours are different to the existing system, and who's actually using it right now?
Yeah, great question. So, the way that money moves today, real quickly, is really 80% of cross-border flows go through 3 mega banks. That's HSBC, that's Citibank, that's JP Morgan, and you trust those banks to move money for you. I mean, it's they are the world leaders in really trust. And what's interesting about the way that Ripple started creating an alternative is that instead of trusting those financial institutions, why don't we link up smaller financial institutions and, in the future, maybe even corporations directly? And instead of trusting the banks to move money, why don't we trust the blockchain to move money cross borders? And so today, correspondent banks, if you want to move money into Mexico, they actually open an account in Mexico, they pre-position pesos, and they move money that way using something called mostly the SWIFT network.
Right.
But today, you can move digital assets into the country real time, and they get converted into local currency using cryptocurrency exchanges. And so, we started that journey years ago. We launched the cryptocurrency addition to RippleNet about 2 years ago. Today, MoneyGram is using that product. We have companies like Via Americas in the United States, a top 5 global remitter into Mexico from the US, Osmo in Europe. In fact, the traction has been so good that 10% of US dollar to Mexico, which is the largest corridor in the world for remittances, 10% of that now moves over blockchain technology, digital assets, and RippleNet. And so we've made a pretty big dent in that in just a few years after launching. So this is real. People are using it. It's far superior to the compared to the traditional world where there's tons of excess capital pre-positioned around the world just to facilitate payments, which is crazy. And
Absolutely love that. That is very powerful stuff, and I think you guys understand the direction where we are going. The tier 1 banks do not want to give up power, but eventually they'll be forced to. There's no other option. Now, there's one other part I want to show you. Let me see, about 1339, give or take, right here.
It is really just messaging. And if you listen to Ripple is, so, number one, we have, our DNA is innovation and technology. The other thing is that Swift is really just messaging. And if you listen to our customers, the problem they have is partially messaging. And that's where RippleNet got started 5-6 years ago, was just the messaging only problem. But we then innovated further. We said, okay, now we're linking up all these financial institutions directly without an intermediary in solving the messaging problem. Let's go and solve that liquidity problem. Swift doesn't solve the liquidity problem. You still move money the old way by these, archaic relationships and pre-positioning money around the world. That's where we started adding in the ODL product. It's called on-demand liquidity.
Right.
Leveraging digital assets to move money in real time. And that removes the $1 trillion afloat that's pre-positioned around the world just for cross-border payments. And again,
so $1 trillion of float just sitting around doing nothing, and what I call it is just in case money in quotes. All right, Swift, just messaging. They are not a threat to XRP or what Ripple is doing. Ripple is aiming to change the game in terms of settlement, the base layer of the payment stack. All right, messaging, all that stuff is on the top.
That was the first innovation beyond messaging. Now we'll talk a little bit about lending coming up as well. Again.
So very powerful stuff, guys. Hopefully you get excited just like I am when I hear this stuff. And also, I actually first saw this podcast here by Bank XRP. Give him a subscribe if you have not already. Great guy, always posting great stuff that has gone under our nose. And keep in mind, this podcast was just put out at the end of November. Anyways, let's keep going here. We have this. It's official. Crypto on front page of U.S. tax return. Notice the IRS has finalized its form, the 1040, which puts a crucial crypto tax question front and center. So, essentially, this is legitimate. It's a sign the IRS is looking to take crypto taxes more seriously down the line. Of course, as the market capitalization grows, as this asset class matures, and hopefully this is just additional confirmation of where this space is going, all right? Governments around the world have been looking at this way before, people heard about Bitcoin. Honestly, this has been in the works since 2014, 2015, 2016, but, the news and masses will say it's Bitcoin. All right, so here's the 1040 right here. Let's see. Any time during 2020 did you receive, sell, send, exchange, or otherwise acquire any financial interest, in any virtual currency? Yes or no? So right there, front and center. Also, I always laugh at these titles on You Today. So, market analyst, Bitcoin is rallying because of record high global debt. Now, there's, always a reason you could say that is absolutely true, and I wouldn't deny it, but it's also true that there's tons and tons of artificial tether propping up this whole asset class currently, and when utility comes, it's going to make this little bubble look like nothing. It will surpass it, will go to the trillions, but until then, yeah, I'm not impressed. I still think it is largely inflated, and that is just my opinion. Also, so XRP Crypto Wolf sharing this, guys, shared by status.hr. Great infographics if you want to learn more about XRP and Ripple. And we have the Spark claim stats. So set up to claim the Spark. We have over 110,000 accounts. We can see XRP balance about 23.5 billion. And also we can see the self-custody exchanges percentage. So 70% of people just did the exchanges, kept it simple, sent their crypto there for the snapshot, probably sent it back to their self-custody after. Maybe some people just held it and didn't even know. And also notice this, the top 3 exchanges that had Spark claims. So Binance, 2.2 billion. We have Bithum, 1.6 billion. And then notice we have Coinbase at 3.5 billion. They were so late to the game to announce it. I know that some jurisdictions were not covered entirely, but it's very funny to see how they came late to the game, and it's still one of the biggest exchanges. And most people, specifically anyone that just bought crypto, I'm happy for them because at least they got to, take part in this Spark snapshot, because the distribution will be later on in 2021. All right. So all good and great. Excited to see what comes of this as well. Also, so Wrath Economy, breaking it down, I'm just going to read this verbatim for any newcomers. So for Flare, there are no tokens, the Spark tokens, yet. Flare Network isn't in production just yet. It does not run on Ethereum. No ETHScan, the Ethereum scan, the website tool, will show it. Ethereum wallets will not hold it, In today's snapshot, back on the 11th, only recorded addresses to send it when when it actually drops in 2021. So to be more precise, today's snapshot recorded how much XRP is held in all of these accounts in your wallet when you were on the exchange at that time, and then they will allocate the Spark later on. So just wanted to clarify that. Also, so I know this is resurfacing. Everybody's talking about this. This is on sec.gov. They put out this release, and essentially the SEC changing the terms and modernizing the term or the definition of an accredited investor. Now, I always laugh at this. I roll my eyes at this because they always say, well, we only allow high net worth individuals and experts to invest and participate into these private capital markets. But the truth is, in the way I see it, and yeah, maybe I'm a little cynical, yeah, right, they don't care about protecting everyday people. The rich just want to get richer, and it is to keep us everyday people out of it so they can get in first and just have a higher earning potential every single time. Same thing with a lot of these, initial public offerings. History repeats, and I really hope that DLT breaks down these borders, hopefully more so democratizes finance, and essentially offers financial inclusion. So notice the SEC today adopted amendments to the accredited investor definition, one of the principal tests for determining who is eligible to participate in our private capital markets. Historically, individual investors who do not meet specific income or net worth tests, regardless of their financial sophistication, have been denied the opportunity to invest in our multifaceted and vast private markets. Why do I like crypto? It is open source. You don't have to be, you can be in any country, any place, anytime. The markets never stop, 24/7, 365. It is far more inclusive. And that is why I love it. It is exciting. You can imagine owning. It's literally the opposite of, stock investing, and that's what most people don't get, and that's fine. I respect real estate, I respect the equities market, but people are going to be missing this boat big time, and I diversify into as much as possible, including precious metals, but this is a whole new medium, and it is going to be far from the speculative market that we saw in 2017, 2018, 2015. These markets are evolving quickly, and I think by the time all is said and done, we're going to look back and just be like, wow. So again, they argue that they're protecting us. Jay Clayton, of course, he stepped down recently. But for the first time, individuals will be maybe permitted to participate in our private capital markets, not only based off their income, but also based off of established, clear measures of financial sophistication. So if you can prove that you are an expert in a specific field, maybe you will not get denied, even if you only have, 100 grand to your name or 10 grand to your name. That would be very, very nice. All right. Now, overall, guys, I know I gave this rant the other day, but essentially, buy assets that generate returns, buy assets that generate cash flow. That is the name of the game. It's not about how much you have in the bank or anything. It is about having consistent income always, all right? So use those returns to pay off liabilities, any debts you have, or if you're a newcomer and you're not really well-versed or don't have, you're not very literate in terms of finance, try to avoid liabilities and credit cards altogether. Because again, that requires a certain amount of discipline. Unless you know how to properly use them in your favor and leverage them to get more assets, which is a trick you can learn later on, just use that cash flow to buy more assets when all your debt's paid off, and then repeat the cycle. So essentially, you're planting more seeds for more revenue streams. You build one up, let this plant grow, water it, water it, water it, turns to a tree, then begin planting another tree as well. So time and time again, the concept, super simple. The process takes way more patience than most of us think, but I believe it is well worth it. And I just recommend let's build each other up. Let's teach one another about everything, financial literacy, whatever skill set you guys have. I'm learning as I go with you all, mostly improvising and just failing my way towards success. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Again, highly recommend if you have time to go through this. It is about 30 minutes. And also, so check out this video, actually support Bank XRP. Always great information. Highly recommend it. Appreciate you guys as always. Links are in the video description, and I will see you in the next video.